Hello and welcome to the 2 seasons late guide for the Deepstone Crypt raid in Destiny 2. There will be timestamps in the description for each encounter. Feel free to change the playback speed of this video if you would like to watch this faster or slower. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments section and I will answer them for you. The strategies shown in this video are the ones I use when teaching the raid, but it is perfectly fine to do things a bit differently if it works better for your team. At the time of recording, the recommended power level for this raid is 1240 or above. The Beyond Light DLC is required to play this raid. This raid has 5 named sections, the first being the entrance area, which is not a proper encounter as no powerful gear is rewarded. And then 4 raid encounters follow. Marked on this diagram is the encounter order, showing the positions of the 2 secret chests and the collectibles you must pick up to get the exotic raid ghost. The 2 secret chests will, at the time of recording, drop a single piece of AT power gear. The secret chests will only drop a weapon or armor piece you have previously acquired. First of all, you will head straight forward and kill the few enemies guarding the door, before traveling through the caves to get to the entrance mini-encounter. In this section, you and your team must move through the blizzard, from bubble to bubble, until you reach the end. When not inside a bubble of heat, you will accumulate stacks of a debuff known as frostbite. And when this reaches 10 stacks, you will instantly die. However, you may respawn at the last bubble you visited, only if all enemies at that bubble have been killed. If you and your team choose to take the pikes instead of your sparrows, then when all 6 pikes make it to the end of this area, you will all receive the raid sparrow, called retrocausality. This is slightly more difficult than using your sparrows, and can take some time if you are unfamiliar with this area. I would not recommend trying this on your first run, but it is certainly possible. Here is a map of the area. Here is the route you will take. Now you have made it to the end of the entrance section. There is a secret chest located just next to the final bubble. Go up the ice path and into this area and you will see the first secret chest. Remember, you will only get gear from this chest that you have already received from the raid. So if you have not done Deepstone Crypt before, then I would recommend coming back for this chest after completing the raid. There are 4 raid mods that can drop from these chests too. And in my experience, these tend to drop very frequently until you have all 4 of them. They can only be inserted in armor from this raid, and the element must match the mod type. It is currently unknown whether these mods will work with the armor from future raids. After entering the facility, you will be able to find the first collectible datapad required to get the raid ghost. It is located here. Turn right and it will be found behind these crates. You will hear some dialogue from the Exo Stranger after picking a datapad up. It does not matter if you miss one of these datapads, you do not have to collect them all in one run. You can come back later for the ones you missed. You have now reached the first encounter of the raid, Crypt Security. Recommended loadouts are, for all classes, Xenophage in the power weapon slot. Alternatives are the 4th Horseman in the special slot, or a regular shotgun. Highly explosive weapons such as rocket launchers and grenade launchers should be avoided, as well as weapons requiring precision damage such as snipers or slug shotguns. For hunters, Golden Gun can be used, however you cannot do precision damage to the target of this encounter. For warlocks, a Well of Radiance, or Chaos Reach super works well. For titans, a Ward of Dawn can be used. The remaining weapon slots can be filled with ad-clearing weapons, any choice will be fine. There will be a few Overload Captain champions in this encounter. This first encounter is separated into 3 areas, the light side, the dark side, and the basement. This raid contains several buffs called augments, which are found in every encounter. The first encounter will have only 2 augments, the red one, called Operator, and the yellow one, called Scanner. At any point in the raid, only 1 augment of each type will be present. For example, you will never see 2 people carrying the same augment at the same time. However, you can pass these augments between players by using terminals. Also, you cannot hold 2 different augments at once. There are 3 terminals found in this first encounter. 1 on the light side, 1 on the dark side, and 1 in the basement. When an augment is inserted into the terminal, it will appear on all terminals in the map simultaneously. So it does not matter where you insert your augment, it will appear on all 3 terminals and another player can take it out from any of them. At certain points in the encounter, enemies known as Sentinel Servitors will appear. You will see some text pop up to tell you they are here. You must kill these servitors quickly, because the augmentation terminals will be disabled while the servitors are alive. In the basement, you will find several keypad panels on the walls and pillars. There will be 5 panels on the light side of the basement, and 5 on the dark side of the basement. These will be very important to the mechanics of this fight, and each have a name. The panels on each side are given a number from 1 to 5, and each panel will have a name, for example, Light 1, or Dark 3. Starting from the basement entrance, here is Light 1, Light 2, Light 3, Light 4, and Light 5. Here is Dark 1, dark 2, dark 3, dark 4, and dark 5. You can notice that panels 4 and 5 on each side are very close together. You should have a look yourself before starting the encounter to make sure you know where everything is. Here you can see the panels on a diagram. There are several glass windows in the floor of the light and dark sides, looking down into the basement. These will be important for the scanners. Here we can see the same panels from before, but from a different perspective. Here is light 1, light 2, light 3, light 4, and light 5. Here is dark 1, dark 2, dark 3 is kinda difficult to see, and you must crouch to see it. On both sides, panels 4 and 5 will share a window. Every other panel has their own window. You will assign the following roles to your team members: light scanner, dark scanner, operator 1 and operator 2. The remaining 2 people will be on ad clear duty, killing enemies. It is possible to complete this encounter using only 1 scanner, and only 1 operator. However, this is the method which I prefer to use when teaching this raid. You will split your team up like this before you start the encounter, and head to your area so that 3 players are on each side. Nobody should be in the basement area when the encounter starts, or they will die. The objective for this encounter is to destroy all 6 fuses found in the center of the room. There are 3 on the light side, and 3 on the dark side. They are called light left, light middle, light right, and dark left, dark middle, dark right. In order to bring down their shields and damage the fuses, you must use the augments and panels. The operator augment will start in the terminal and picking it up will start the encounter. The scanner augment will spawn shortly after the encounter begins, attached to a vandal on the dark side of the room. Kill it and you can pick up scanner. The person assigned to dark side scanner must pick this scanner augment up, and then look through the glass in the floor, to see which panels are highlighted yellow for them. Only 2 panels per side will light up. They must then call this out to their team, and place the scanner buff into the terminal so that the light side scanner can do the same thing. Callouts will sound something like dark 3 dark 5 and light 1 light 4 from the second scanner on the light side. After all 4 panels, that is, 2 dark side panels and 2 light side panels, have been called out, the operator will head into the basement by shooting the door buttons open. The buttons on these doors are not part of the 10 basement panels. The operator will then reach the basement, and shoot all 4 panels that were called out. If they stay in the basement for too long, or if they shoot the wrong panel, they will catch on fire and die, and the operator augment will respawn attached to a vandal on the light side. If all 4 of the correct panels are shot, the damage phase will begin. When the damage phase begins, you will have the operator still in the basement, and everyone else will be either on the light or dark side. Now, the person in the basement must pass their operator buff up to somebody else, who we usually call operator 2. This person who grabs the operator buff will just hold onto it for now. They do not need to do anything special. The scanner buff will then be passed to the person in the basement, again through the terminals, so that they can tell you what to shoot. When the person in the basement has been given the scanner buff, they will see 6 small fuses around the pillar in the basement. One of these 6 fuses will light up, and they must call it out to their team, so their team can shoot it. The fuses represent those directly above them, so you will see light left, middle and right, and dark left middle and right. The fuses in the basement will only show your team what to shoot. The person in the basement cannot deal damage. One thing to note is that the pillar looks a bit brighter on the dark side. So some people get this confused. The color of the pillar itself is not important. The light scanner fuses are on the same side as the light panels, and the same goes for the dark ones. If anyone shoots the incorrect fuse, it will glow red and shortly kill your entire team, so be careful. This is why large area of effect weapons are a bad idea. You also cannot do headshot damage to these fuses, so snipers and slug shotguns are a bad idea. If your team can destroy all 6 fuses before the damage phase ends, then you have finished this encounter. If not, the player in the basement will pass the scanner buff back up to the dark scanner. And the person who picked up the operator buff at the start of the damage phase will now become the operator, and switch out with the person in the basement. Repeat this cycle until you have destroyed all the fuses. You will have no more than 3 rounds to complete this, or you will wipe.
Nice, wait. We ready? Picking up now. Scan on mid. Zoid, over here, on Legatus.
Dark 5. Dark 2. Light 4 and light 5.
Come so because of that, then I can bank. Light side. Banking off, some to take off.
Sending scanner.
Light side right.
Down.
Light left.
Down.
Dark mid.
Come over.
Dark left. Dark left.
What happened over there on dark?
Oh, there's one phase that saw good.
Whatever.
Sending scan back up. I may die, so I would say it's better if the op just comes down.
Dark 2. Dark 4.
Shoot the door, shoot the inside door.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him.
Light 3. Light 5.
Which one was the dark?
Alright, I am solo on this dark side.
No, I'll be there the whole
Standing
game.
up.
Got it.
Dark right. Light middle. Dark left.
Done.
Alright, nice.
Head over to the exit to grab your rewards. Now you can go down the hallway and the elevator shaft to reach the next area. There will be a second datapad found in this large room. Follow this path to get it. You may wish to use a sword to jump more accurately in third-person mode. Now we have reached the most difficult encounter, Atraks 1. She can be very annoying to fight, so watch this section multiple times if you need to. The arena for this fight is split into two sections. Crypt, which you can see when you arrive at the encounter, and the space section, which can only be accessed through elevators at the back of the room after the encounter has started. Each area will have 3 or 4 terminals, which can be used in the same way as the previous encounter. Remember that all terminals are linked, so any terminal on the map can be used to pass to any other terminal. When the encounter starts, Atraks will split herself into 8 clones, which will be found around the crypt and space areas. They will each have a name. From left to right, those in the crypt will be called top left, bottom left, middle, right. Those in the space area will be called left, window, elevators, and right. Some players may call the elevator and window clone by different names. It is important to remember these callouts. There will also be several airlocks located in the space area, which will be used later in the fight. For this encounter, the recommended loadouts are the following: Titans, Ward of Dawn or Aquirus of the Falling Star Thundercrash, Hunters and Warlocks. Use whichever super you want. The Lament exotic sword is highly recommended for this fight. It will do significantly more damage than almost any other option available and is very easy to get through a quest. You can use Falling Guillotine, but this will do quite a bit less damage. Stay away from Warmand cells in this encounter. If you detonate them at the wrong time, it can result in a wipe. There are a few slightly different strategies to this fight, each with a varying number of players in the crypt and space areas. To simplify things, I will assume you split your team equally between both locations. One player will be the operator and 2 players will be scanners. One person will be the space scanner and 1 player will be the crypt scanner. You can do this with only 1 scanner person who moves between floors, but I would not recommend this on your first attempt of the raid. The operator will be a part of the space team. Spread the remaining players between the crypt and space teams. To start the encounter, go near the purple ball close to the elevators. This will cause the boss clones as well as many other enemies to spawn in. Everyone on the space team, apart from the operator, should go to the elevators immediately. They will arrive shortly after the encounter begins and you can use them to go into space. Note that if you take an elevator to space, it will stay in space until the operator shoots the panel next to that elevator, which will send it to the other area. Kill the enemies that spawn in, and then the servitors will appear in your area. The crypt will have 3 servitors spawn, on the left, middle and right of the map. The crypt team should kill their servitors as quickly as possible. At this time, the operator augment will spawn attached to a vandal somewhere in the crypt. The operator should find this and pick it up, and they may then join their team in space. You should now have 3 players in each area. Now, servitors will spawn in the space area. Again, there will be 1 on the left, 1 in the middle underneath, and 1 on the right. Your team should kill 2 of these servitors and leave 1 of them alive. In this example, we will leave the right servitor in space alive. The scanner augment will spawn somewhere in space on a vandal. The space scanner person should pick it up. After you have both augments and cleared out any remaining enemies, you can kill the final servitor. This will begin the damage phase. The damage phase is separated into 4 sections. Initially, the space team will do damage, then the crypt team, then the space team, and finally the crypt team again. In order to do damage, you will find that all 4 clones in your area will start to glow. The scanner will be able to see that one of these clones is glowing yellow, and this is the clone you must damage. Causing almost any amount of damage to an incorrect clone at this stage will wipe the whole fire team. If the correct clone is not hit within 15 seconds or so of the damage phase starting, you will also wipe. The scanner will call out the correct clone, for example, left side, and the whole space team should rush over there immediately. When doing damage, there are a few important things to note. Firstly, Atraks will disappear a few seconds after she is first hit, so make sure everyone is ready before anybody hits her. Second of all, the Lament has a combo attack which deals maximum damage. To do this, guard with the sword to rev it up, then do 3 light attacks and finally 1 heavy attack. Thirdly, the scanner buff should be placed into the terminal as soon as you have killed the clone, as quickly as possible, so that the scanner player in the crypt can pick it up and the crypt team can damage. You must pass the scanner after every killed clone. Lastly, after the clone is killed, it will drop a large orb on the floor. This orb must be picked up by somebody as soon as possible simply by touching it. Try not to pick it up if you are the operator. When you have picked this ball up, you will get a debuff called Atraks 1 replication, lasting about 40 seconds. If this timer reaches 0 seconds, everyone will die. There are 2 things that can be done with this debuff orb. Firstly, everyone is able to see the orb above your head, and if the operator shoots the orb, it will drop on the floor. You are then able to pick it back up and the timer will be reset back to 40 seconds. Secondly, it is very difficult to keep doing this with the orbs forever. So you can take the orb to one of the 4 airlocks to get rid of it. The operator will shoot the panel on the airlock and it will open. The player with the debuff walks into the airlock, the operator shoots it off them so it lands on the floor of the airlock, and then the player walks back out. You can cleanse as many players as you want at once, but due to timings it is easier to do no more than 2 at once. Until you have defeated 4 clones and the next round begins. The airlocks can only be used 1 time each. They will become available again when the next round of 4 clones starts. As there are no airlocks in the crypt, the debuff orbs picked up in the crypt must be taken up to space through the elevators. After you have been cleansed, you may go back down and join your team again if you came up to cleanse. The operator should also be making sure that there are enough elevators available to the crypt players. Make sure that they all have one, as they will need to come up to space when the final stand begins. Now you have gotten her health to the marked section, Atraks will begin the final stand. Everyone must be in space for this section, so head up there if you are on the crypt team. About 8 or 9 clones will be spread around in the space map, all shooting at your team. A Ward of Dawn or Well of Radiance makes it easier to stay alive here. You will do 1 final damage phase all as a team, on whichever clone glows yellow to the scanner. It is quite hard to see all of the clones here as the scanner, so make sure to move around a bit. It is quite difficult to call out a useful location as there are so many clones. So try to follow your scanner to the correct boss. Don't worry too much about cleansing debuffs at this point, the encounter will be over within 40 seconds. You will have 3 damage windows on 3 clones in the final stand, and if you have not yet killed her, she will wipe your team. With good communication, this shouldn't happen too often. With the encounter over, head up to the middle of the room to collect your loot. If you have made it through without somebody telling you how difficult this encounter was on day 1, please buy a lottery ticket. The display name Dave Channel does not endorse gambling.
There was a time where one on the bottom was directly under the one on the left. And it was just really awkward.
Yeah, that happened in the final stand.
And I was like, left? Which one on left? There's 2.
Yeah, if it's a final stand, then that happens a lot. Like last week I had the final stand and it was bottom right.
Gross.
Sector reassessment. Orbital platform active. Orbital platform reached. Status calamitous.
That's alive somewhere.
Guardian down. Fuck up. I killed the servant on left side.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Kill servitor?
Are we all up?
Yep.
Yeah, which one?
Pods, back, pods. 3, 2, 1, go.
Ra has it. Coming.
Which one is it?
Left side.
DST, I would have gone down.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, my bad. My mom came into my room and says, "Act me."
You're good.
Stop me.
Alright, we got this. Which one?
Left side, left side.
Top?
Yeah, there's only top. 3, 2, 1, go.
Got it.
Alright, go bottom quick.
Ra has it.
Very good. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Bottom over here.
I'm still bottom, coming back up.
That's fine.
3, 2, 1, go.
Done.
Nice.
Detected within the orbital platform. Orbital confinement protocol initiated. Status. Pathway to nuclear cores obscured.
Now that you have defeated Atraks, you can go to the exit and down the corridors, until you reach a large room of enemies. Kill all these enemies and you can then enter the airlock to the next area. This area is the jumping puzzle. Follow the directions on screen to find your way to the exit. Make sure to turn your music up, it sounds great here. Here is the second secret chest. Remember, you are guaranteed to get something you have already received from the raid here. Here is the third datapad. Ignore the enemies here and run all the way down this ledge. Here is the fourth datapad. All team members must be here for the door to open. The fifth and final datapad is located here, just on top of this red barrel. You can now go into your Triumphs menu to claim the exotic ghost. Now we have reached the third encounter. Be careful, as it is extremely easy to start this encounter accidentally. Do not go anywhere near the front half of the room unless you want to start the encounter. Recommended loadout. Any add clear weapons of your choice. Witherhoard and Anarchy work well. However, they are definitely not required. There is no boss damage phase in this encounter. Overload weapons could be useful, as there are several overload captains. But they can be easily taken out with regular weapons. This encounter is one large room, with the boss, which you do not damage, found at the front. There are 3 augments found in this encounter, the operator and the scanner from before. And also a new one called Suppressor, which is blue. You should learn all of the augment roles, as they are all very simple. Some teams assign one person to each augment. But this is only for small IQ stinky poo-poo teams. All the cool kids use the chaos method, where you just pick up whatever augment you see. No need to search for a specific augment role. They are all very simple here. In this encounter, you will find 3 terminals, which will function similarly to previous encounters, allowing you to pass augments between players. They are located here. Here. And here. Again, it does not matter which terminal is used, as they are all linked up together. You will also find 4 ball spawners in this encounter, which are located in the far left, mid left, mid right, and far right areas. Notice that they each have a panel next to them. This will be important later. Similarly, you will also see 4 deposit boxes in the center of the map. They are the white boxes seen here. Be very careful not to go too close to these boxes, or you may accidentally start the encounter before you are ready. They each have a name, which are top right, bottom right, top left, bottom left. Not everybody uses these names, so check with your team beforehand to make sure you all use the same names. Some teams will make up their own callouts for these boxes, such as Apple Donkey Smartphone Pizza, which is extremely funny and deserves at least 3 Oscars. I wouldn't recommend doing this on LFG runs with strangers, because it only makes things much more difficult for newer players. Finally, you will find 3 suppression spots around the map. Underneath these floating beach ball looking devices, there is one on the left, one in the center, one on the right. This encounter is focused around taking balls from certain places and depositing them at one of the boxes in the front of the room. When the encounter starts, enemies will spawn and you should kill them. Vandals will eventually appear carrying the operator suppressor and scanner buffs. They will not always spawn in the same places. Kill them to pick up the buff. It does not matter who picks up which buff, as they are all very simple to learn. Continue killing enemies as normal until you hear a very loud siren go off. The players with augments must perform their tasks when the siren goes off. The tasks are as follows. Operator, you must look at the ball spawners, and you will see that 3 of the 4 panels are glowing red. You must shoot one of the red panels, it does not matter which red panel you shoot. Scanner, you must look at the boxes at the front of the map, and tell your teammates which 2 boxes are glowing yellow. Only the scanner is able to see this. Callouts can be, for example, both right, both top, or a pair of callouts, such as top left, bottom right. Suppressor. Your task involves the use of the suppression spots mentioned earlier. When the siren goes off, you must stand in one of these spots, underneath the beach ball thing, and then the boss will glow blue. You must damage the boss with any amount of damage. It does not matter how much, if you see a damage number appear then that is fine. Then move to the center spot and shoot him again, and then finally to the last spot and shoot him in order to stun him. All 3 spots must be used, and any order is fine. When the boss is stunned, the deposit boxes will all open. No DPS is required, the boss is not being killed in this encounter and his health cannot go down. Now let us explain how the balls work. These are radioactive and will detonate, killing all players, if they are left on the floor for more than 10 seconds. You will usually see a waypoint for each ball showing their timer if it is on the floor. As soon as they appear, players should pick them up. Everyone apart from the suppressor can pick up a ball, although only 2 will appear. Try to spread out so you can pick them up as soon as they arrive. When holding a ball you will slowly accumulate stacks of radiation, and if the radiation reaches 10, it will kill the player holding the ball. Radiation will disappear over time when you are not holding onto a ball. With your ball, head to the deposit boxes at the front of the map. You must place the 2 balls in each of the boxes called out by the scanner, 1 ball per box. If you place it in an incorrect box you will be killed. The boxes will say, offline, until the suppressor has done their job. This has nothing to do with which box is correct, and all boxes will appear the same to everyone but the scanner. After both balls have been deposited, one of the 3 players holding an augment will have their augment disabled. This can be seen by the debuff given and you will hear a noise. The deactivated player is chosen at random. If your augment was the one deactivated, you must go to one of the terminals and deposit your augment for another player to pick up. You will then receive a debuff called augment lockout, meaning you cannot pick an augment up for a short while. This is the reason why it is important to learn all 3 augment roles, as no matter what you start with, you may be required to pick one up from a deactivated team member later in the encounter. This will repeat 5 more times, making a total of 6 rounds of 2 balls per round, 12 balls in total. If the room starts to get a bit fiery, don't worry, this is just the result of you crashing through the atmosphere towards Europa. It doesn't mean you are doing anything wrong. After all 6 rounds have been completed you will hear some dialogue and the floor in the front of the room will open up. Fall down the hole and run towards the end as Taniks chases you. If he catches you, then you won't have a good time. Only one player needs to reach the end of the running section. If you want to be a comedic genius, bring glacier grenades and block the door at the end. Your teammates will all laugh at you and you will finally receive the attention your parents never gave you. After crashing on Europa, you will walk slowly to the chest to receive your rewards before regaining your movement abilities. Make your way through the wreckage of the satellite and you will emerge back at the entrance to the facility, covered in a lot of debris, where the final encounter will take place.
Nuclear descent protocol active. Utter destruction of Europa imminent.
Scan and suppress both spawn together.
Where?
Trying to get the scan. On Legatus. In mid.
Come in. Okay.
I got op.
Carla is top left and bottom right.
I got top left. It's offline.
Oh, that's Taniks.
Who's deactivated? I'm picking it up.
Carla to stop. Scan deactive.
Both top boxes.
I got Doppler. Coming. Carla's left side. Left side. Scan deactive.
Bottom left and top right.
Deactivated suppressor, it's going in.
Bottom left and top right again.
Nuclear descent protocol deactivated.
Nice.
Collision remains imminent.
Fucking easy, boys.
I will not forget what you have done here today.
Not a single time that operator got deactivated.
Will be torn open and all defenses will be destroyed. It is now open to all. Allies and enemies
Easiest job in the world. Shoot a panel.
do not defend it. The results could be worldly.
We have now reached the final encounter. Let me just be really original and steal a joke from Dato's raid guide and make my text-to-speech voice say Taniks mechanics a ton of times. Taniks mechanics, Taniks mechanics, Taniks mechanics, Taniks mechanics, Taniks mechanics. Now that my hilarious joke has been made, let's move on to the encounter. This final encounter is set outside the entrance to the facility with the debris from the crashed space station scattered everywhere. The main objective of this encounter is to carry balls around like you did in the previous encounter and then kill Taniks. There are 3 main areas in this encounter. There is the snowy area where you start, known as either spawn or white. The area over to the left, known as blue. Finally, the orange area found near where you previously entered the building. Each of these 3 areas will contain a few things. Firstly, they will each contain a terminal which are again used in the same way. They will also each contain 3 suppression spots for a total of 9. And finally, they will each contain 2 deposit boxes, for a total of 6. The deposit boxes are very important to the mechanics of this fight and they will each have a number assigned to them. Most teams will start with this box here and number them clockwise, so here is 1, 2. In the blue area we have 3, 4. In the orange area we have 5, 6. It is very important to remember which boxes are in which area. Remember, spawn has 1 and 2, blue has 3 and 4, orange has 5 and 6. Here is a map for the encounter. Feel free to pause the video here. There are 2 main strategies used in this encounter, named 2-ball and 4-ball. The 4-ball strategy is used by almost every single team I have come across, and is shorter, simpler, and results in a damage window 50% longer than that of the 2-ball strategy. In this video I will only be covering the 4-ball strategy to not waste your time. If you for some reason wish to learn the 2-ball strategy, I'm sure other guides will exist for it. Recommended loadouts for this encounter are as follows. 1 player should use a Divinity loadout. For those unaware, Divinity is a trace rifle that creates a large hitbox around enemies. And when allies shoot this hitbox, they deal more damage. The remaining 5 players should use 2 slug shotguns plus Anarchy if they have it. It is okay to have 2 special weapons here, you can punch most of the enemies easily. If you do not have any of those weapons, Cloud Strike is an okay alternative, and if you do not have that, you could use something like Darcy or Whisper of the Worm. Although these are not as powerful. For hunters, I recommend using Celestial Nighthawk or Star Eater Scales exotic armor paired with Golden Gun for big damage. For warlocks, I recommend using Well of Radiance with Lunar Faction boots. The boots are important, as they give allies in your well a range boost, making slug shotguns much more effective. For titans, Ward of Dawn or Aquirus of the Falling Star Thundercrash are good picks. I would suggest having at least 1 Ward of Dawn. In this encounter, the same 3 augments from the last encounter are present. When doing the 4-ball strategy, the scanner is not needed at all. You may still pick up the scanner, but you do not have to do anything special with it. You will assign one person to be the operator, one to be suppressor, and the remaining 4 people will be ball carriers. Ball carrying is the simplest job here. If your team is using Divinity, I suggest that the Divinity player takes the operator role. You will start out with 2 players in each area. The operator player must start in the white area, and the suppressor player must start in the orange area, as this is where those augments will appear. 3 waves of enemies will spawn. Kill one wave and the next will spawn. Wave 1 is several dregs and low-tier enemies, Wave 2 adds a captain you must kill, and finally Wave 3 will be only a few enemies, including an orange bar vandal which will carry an augment. Again, the operator augment appears in the white area, the suppressor appears in the orange area, and the scanner will appear in the blue area, although scanner is not required. As soon as you have killed the 3rd wave of enemies and picked up the augment, if you are an augment player, you should look at the boss. He will eventually move to one of the 3 areas and everyone should immediately follow him there. Now, Taniks will start a wipe mechanic. He will start to summon missiles which look like large purple beams. You should avoid these as they will almost certainly kill you if you are hit by them. You will see 4 bright orange engines appear on the boss, and you must shoot these in order to prevent the wipe from occurring. With the 4-ball strategy, you should shoot out all 4 of them. This is not difficult if everyone is shooting. Each engine that is knocked out will drop a ball. You will then have to take these balls to the deposit boxes. You will be able to figure out which boxes are available because you will not be able to deposit a ball in either of the boxes in the area where the boss is. It is common for players to call out which box they would like to go to by shouting out a number. They can be deposited at any point after the suppressor has done their job, which we will explain shortly. The operator's role in this encounter is pretty simple. When players are carrying balls, the operator must watch the ball carriers. At certain points, somebody holding a ball may become trapped in a large purple cage. The operator must hit one of the spots on the cage to free the trapped player. 2 players will be trapped per round, 1 at a time. Try to free the players as quickly as possible so they don't pick up too much radiation. The suppressor's task is very similar to what they did in the last encounter. When people are carrying the balls, the suppressor must stand under the suppression spots and shoot the boss. There are 3 spots in each area and you should only use the 3 where the boss is. After all 3 suppression spots have been used, the deposit boxes will no longer be offline, and they can be used. Remember, you still cannot use the boxes in the area where the boss is. Additionally, after the boss is suppressed, one player holding an augment will become deactivated, like we saw in the last encounter. When this happens, they should deposit their augment into the terminal. They can then retrieve it again after the damage phase has occurred, as their lockout timer should have gone away by then. One important thing to note is that because there is a chance for the operator to be deactivated, it is not a good idea to suppress the boss until both trapped players have been freed. The suppressor can use the 1st and 2nd spots, but they should avoid shooting the boss from the 3rd spot until the operator has done their task. If the operator gets unlucky and is deactivated early, a trapped player may die, so we want to avoid this from happening. Impatient ball carriers may shout out, offline, or suppress at you. Ignore them and suppress the boss when you are supposed to. If you are a ball carrier, please shut the fuck up. After all 4 balls have been deposited, you can prepare to do damage to Taniks. A popular place to do damage is near box 2, in the white area. Taniks will move to the center of the map and you should wait while he chills there for a bit. He will then throw up a huge, Dimsdale Dimmadome, you need to be inside of to damage him. It is a good idea for a Titan to place a ward of Dawn outside of Taniks' dome. When entering the dome, there will be 3 chunks of debris flying around the edge anti-clockwise. It is important to jump over these pieces of debris, as they will kill you if they hit you. When inside the damage dome, you should have a warlock place down a well of radiance. Be careful not to stand too close to the boss, as he has some electricity underneath him which will kill you slowly even in a well. The divinity player will shoot the boss with divinity and the crit box will appear as a large bubble underneath Taniks. Try to shoot this bubble as it will do more damage. After a short while you will be launched out of the damage dome. Run and jump back in to do more damage. He will then launch you out for a second time and you will re-enter before he kicks you out for the final time. If you have gotten his health down to the marked section of his health bar, the last stand will begin. Otherwise, you will repeat everything done so far again, so you can get another damage phase. Remember to pick your augment back up now if you are the deactivated player. When the boss has entered last stand, he will teleport from one area to another as you finally kill him. Beware of the missiles again here and do not stand still. He will teleport a total of 5 or 6 times before wiping your whole team if not yet killed. If everyone is alive, there should be plenty of time here. Now you have killed Taniks. Head over to the chest to grab your rewards. You might even get the Eyes of Tomorrow exotic rocket launcher, which is a very rare drop. For example, I have done this raid 3 times a week for 2 seasons now without missing many, and with 138 Sherpas and 117 completions, I still do not have this weapon. I am very salty. Here is a map of the encounter. Feel free to pause the video here.
Oh,
Okay.
I got 3
Stand
flags
by.
early now.
Stand by, don't start. Alrighty.
But you sound like Shahan.
Going orange.
Okay.
I'll head to 2.
Out to 3.
Everybody get one. Somebody get the last. There we go.
I'm gonna go 3. Offline. Alright, nice.
Nope, Zoid. Okay, yep.
All good.
We're good.
You're lucky, but it kept saying offline.
Don't waste your ammo.
You're ready.
Alright, get ready, get ready.
Pop well first.
I got you.
Got one. Oh, my bad, I got a scanner.
Fucking easy mode.
Come on.
So free, really free.
Nice.
Keep it going. He's
Blue.
blue. I'm out of ammo.
Orange.
Done.
GG's.
Nice. GG boys.
Eyes of Tomorrow, please. Nice.
I got it on the last one.
The chest at the final encounter works slightly differently to the other ones. It will give you gear, but also you can interact with it to bring up a vendor screen. You can spend 60 spoils to grab a cache, which will give you a random reward from the encounter selected. This includes items you have not yet found. You may also spend 20 spoils to get another copy of any armor or weapon you have already received, but with a different role. That concludes this guide to the Deep Stone Crypt. Feel free to like and subscribe if it has helped you out, or dislike if it has not helped you out. Ask any questions you like in the comments and I will try to respond to you. Thank you for watching.